really did an unusual broadcast right now. I don't know if I don't even know why I'm airing it, but my staff gets me to talk about different subjects between the shows. And one time we had a group of young people, like 17 of them, out by a swimming pool at some level 10, maybe it was a Next Gen event I was doing for Seven Mountains, 7M Next Gen. But I was talking about the three variables that go into making a 40-year, 50-year, long-lasting, good relationship. And I talked about the three factors. And one of the factors I talked about had to do with sexual polarity, which is the balance of male and female energy and how it creates a kind of a tension that produces sexual attraction. It's the psychology or the science of male-female. God made the two of them, and there's a certain feminine and masculine energy that works off each other. And it's not like, extra biblical revelation. It's common sense. And I explained to them how that polarity functions and how women can mess up that attraction and the polarity. Anyway, we get into that and many other subjects like speed dating going on. And where's the Christian men at? And where's the masculinity, or how many alpha males versus beta males are in the Christian world? Very interesting subject. And we were talking between news broadcasts. And I said, sit down, Chelsea, because I want to get this underground investigative reporting on Christian speed dating and what's going on in the Christian dating world. Well, she cleaned it up a lot for TV, I'll tell you that, but she nevertheless drops enough breadcrumbs, so I want you to watch this show today. By the way, if you want healthy relationships, if you're single, come to my summit. I've had more people meet at my summits than you know. Come to the healthsummit.us, HELTHSUMMIT, healthsummit.us. Get smart, smart health, smart relationships. I'm going to show you the smart track to having optimum health. We've got 10 experts from 10 different certified fields giving you the cheat codes that can hack into the health wellness field like the doctors do. It's a Trump Doral, Miami, by the way. We're going to be on the sunny coast of Miami, January 15th through 17th. Better sign up now because those seats are selling like hotcakes and we're running out of room. The Trump Doral, January 15th through 17th, and then go to healthsummit.us and check out the speakers. You're going to love them. And it's my first month is my cheat codes for getting healthy for the rest of the year. All right, see you on the other side of this broadcast. You don't want to stay to the end when I get into the sexual polarity discussion. It's a very interesting subject. See you there. I'm going to talk about this Erica Kirk meeting with Candace Owens. I've got some opinions about that. And, ooh, boy, are they going to be spicy and hot. And I'm just going to burn up the airwaves. More radical anti-Israel groups trying to bomb Los Angeles, kill them off in Australia. What the heck? How long are we going to be in America with the old woke narrative that, well, we're a diversity and a melting pot and we have to have tolerance of different. Now we know it's all the leftist loonies that support the radical immigration of millions coming in to plunder our wealth so that they can have if these people are anarchists, they're like the mob. What scares me is they're getting elected because I say it and you agree. For the most part, I'm not exaggerating. I'm right. But we're not reaching the average American, which brings me to Christian speed dating. Yes, you say, how so, Lance? Well, you see, the average American, I think we have to start with what is our average Christian American like, and I think we're living in a bubble. We're living in a bubble, so we sent our own producer out on a special assignment to engage in the experience of speed dating. To give us an understanding of where the average American male is, who is in the speed dating market. I want to clarify, this is Christian speed dating. This means that you have to show up in front of somebody of the opposite sex. At least I think we're that enlightened, and you have a couple of minutes with which to establish the mystique of rapport. And then I guess the two of you evaluate each other. This is a really dehumanizing process, by the way. I can think of nothing less affirming than getting rejected by a Christian in a speed date. But put that aside. Chelsea, it was courageous of you to go underground. Tell us what your experience was in the Christian speed dating market and give us insights into the psyche of this segment of the United States.
Well, I just want to clarify. I was giving Lance an update on my activities recently, and he decided this would make great content. So here we are. Yes, Lance, okay. Well, this year, before Charlie passed, he was talking a lot about, make it your mission to get married, have a family. So I've taken that commission very seriously. So yes, I went to a Christian speed dating mixer, and everyone there was really brave. I got to say, everyone was really brave, showed up, putting yourself out there. I really appreciated that. But it also reminded me, we definitely live in our own bubbles. It's definitely.
Well, what would make you say that, Chelsea? Now, why would you say?
Explain this.
Did you bring up your conservative political bent? Did that come up? Are Christians universally conservative, or did you find that they aren't? I mean, I'm trying to get to the psychographics of the Christian male.
Yes. So I would say that the people I met at this function were probably like your very normal, very average, very nice people. They all go to church, but not like my church. Like I go to Mercy Culture. I love it. It's very active. It's very engaged, very involved in a lot of areas. And so last night, somebody was like, what are you excited about, looking forward to? I was like, well, I'm going to AmFest this week. What's that? What Turning Point? And I was like, Charlie Kirk, like his event. And they were like, oh. And this guy was like, so are you one of those people that like just agreed with him on everything? Or was there anything you disagreed with him on? And just like stared at me. And I was like, oh, what a revealing question. How interesting. So I was like, well, yes, I know there are finer points I disagreed with him on over the years, but overall, I would say like I agreed with him, still agree with him. Probably equally irritate some people. I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind, speak the truth. So yeah, it was really interesting. So then I started bringing it up a lot more. Like I think I met 17 guys last night, and
say that again. You what? 17?
Yeah. Like you sit there, and then they cycle through. It's just like in the movies, and they cycle through. This is my first time doing this.
Yes.
Probably my last time. I encourage other people though, like go for it, try it. So yeah, it was just fascinating hearing from more of your like normal, everyday kind of Christians, and I got a lot of mixed responses. It was really interesting.
Well, what do you mean mixed responses, though?
Well, one other guy was like, well, oh my gosh, I went last year. I wish I could go this year, but it's, I can't, that's so cool. And then, most people were like, oh, interesting. Oh, you're into politics.
The moment you mentioned Amerifest, that was your litmus test for whether they are a conservative Christian that is culturally literate on the front lines of where the 30-year-olds and under are moving in the conservative movement. And
right.
You found out that they weren't enthusiastic in Texas, of all places.
Well, and I know there are people, I'm just saying where I was, but I did go on a date with like a 40-something guy who's a Christian last week. And he said he's very Christian, loves the Lord. We had a great conversation about Christ. But when I brought up politics, he said, oh, I stay out of that. I stay as far away from that as possible. It's too divisive. And I was like, Jesus was divisive.
Beta!
He was nice.
Remember when we had that guy? What was his name? Jesse, and he would, when he starts hearing about a man that's demonstrating feminine, woke, weak characteristics, beta. He just yelled beta male, not alpha male.
I'm not saying that.
Honestly, tell me the truth. How many guys did you see last night?
There were 17 on.
I know this is going to be painful.
It was painful.
What percentage of them would you say were alpha males?
Oh, yeah, no.
Mostly beta?
Yeah.
Beta! Okay.
But I'm not saying that. You're saying
beta
that.
males, that's the problem. Look, I think alpha males are conservatives. I think we attract alphas. You know why? Because we were unpopular for so long. It breeds a certain kind of courageous, disposition when you're the minority and when you're being constantly beaten up on in the media, et cetera, and you still hold true to your convictions.
I think this goes back to a bigger conversation I have heard so many men in so many different areas of life talk about, which is bringing up biblical masculinity, and also biblical femininity. This is like a really big conversation I've heard happening. And that's something I'd love to hear more from you about, Lance, is how do we teach these young men what biblical masculinity is? How to be brave, how to be bold, how to be a provider, and teaching women how to be women again. I think that's a big conversation that I hear a lot. I meet a lot of new people. I love talking to people, and that is something I really hear.
All
a
right,
lot.
so this is my question. Let's find it from the audience. I'm curious about this because I think when I looked at I looked at that Turning Point, just the Turning Point Student Action Summit that Erica would do and Charlie would do here in Dallas. If I'm not mistaken, there was 2,000 or 3,000 screeching females in that.
Screeching?
Oh, that's what it sounded like to an old guy like me. And my daughter was there, and you were there. And I mean, because they got that young energy, that young, shrill, loud shriek. Mostly girls. It was the female action
young
summit.
Women, excited.
Well, I'm a dad, so they look like
in a
girls
place together, cheering on for America.
Yeah, and they're the future. They're the future of blood. They're the future of our movement. And might I add, I think that the fact that they chose Dallas to do it was because they have so many strong female conservatives here in Dallas, and I'll bet you they're all equally frustrated looking for the alpha male conservatives. So, I mean, I was looking at Jesus, what he endured in Gethsemane and on the cross and with the scourging, and how he had to stand alone against all the psychic pressure that the world could put him. That Jesus is the ultimate masculine role model of strength, handling suffering and responsibility without complaining or breaking. There's a definition of masculinity that you don't hear often, but the capacity to bravely do what is right and endure the suffering and take responsibility without breaking or retaliating or complaining. That was what Jesus modeled. What an extraordinary individual Jesus was in history, and as we know, we believe that he's actually extraordinary because he is the perfect combination of God and man, demonstrating the way men ought to be. I got something coming in January at the Trump Doral with all of my favorite doctors. I got a whole group of medical experts going to talk about making you maha healthy. You're going to make you healthy and going to make you wealthy and make you wise for the race of your life, because we're not going to lose. Last year at this time, we were celebrating. This year at this time, we got a wake-up call. But we're going to win this battle and not lose. Go to lancewallnau.com/wellness, and you'll see why Wallnau is doing a wellness conference, January 15th through 18th at the Trump Doral. Listen, it's cold up north. Come down to Florida. All right, lancewallnau.com/wellness. Save your seat.
I want to hear from you. What is the best advice you have for embracing if you're a man, biblical masculinity, or if you're a woman, biblical femininity? What is the best way to get in touch with who God created you to be?
Well, I would just say, you know what you need? You need probably to meditate upon this subject for a little while. That's why the book Wild at Heart was so great for so many young men. Go read, was it John Eldridge's name? Get the book Wild at Heart. I read both the book Wild at Heart and I think it was a book for women, which was called Captivate or something like that. And I realized that women are designed for a certain purpose and men are designed for a certain purpose. And part of that is that real masculinity is looking for a beauty to rescue, a cause to fight for. And in that is the identity of the hero. And men want to be heroic. And to do that, they have to rescue something that's in danger, and they have to fight a battle. The counterfeit is what the left presents with all of their, free Palestine movements and that stuff. But that's masculine energy looking for a battle to fight, a beauty to rescue, and a cause that's transcendent. But that's a little bit of what the psychology is of raising young men. They're designed to want a battle that they have to fight. And so what's weird is in the trans movement, the battle is to overcome the prejudice of the heterosexual. And the devil perverts it, so they become militant trans, which is part of the threat that is coming up now. But I want to come back to this main thought. We do need singles, conservatives, summits, and your underground experience with these 17 available men is that not many of them are politically engaged, and not many of them strike you as alpha males. Is that your assessment? I'm just assuming. That's my conclusion.
Well, I don't think everybody has to be politically engaged. Everyone has, their own calling, their own thing. I do think it's good to be informed. I'm just saying, when I started this conversation with you before we started shooting, it made me realize, like, hey, we live in a special world. Like, we live in a bubble of like really fascinating, interesting people. And it was interesting going out and meeting more normal, everyday people. And so it was fascinating from that perspective. And, it takes all types. It does. I do think it's important to be informed. I do want to hear more from you, though. I love learning from you about this topic. Like, I remember when I was younger and you were teaching us on the topic of like equally yoked. Remember all of that? You would teach us like different concepts on, I don't know if you remember that. We were at an event, we were out by a pool. We randomly ended up, it was like you and like 15 of us young kids who were at the event, and you were giving us advice on how to find your future partner.
Yep.
Do you remember this? Do you remember what you talked about?
Yes, I do.
I want to hear more about that. It's fine that we're going over a little.
I said there's 3 things that you have to look at for a long-lasting relationship, and most people will not teach you this. One is temperament compatibility, because when you're sexually attracted to someone that looks good and you got all these other chemical distractions going on, you're not thinking objectively. And then you have to understand, if you're relationally focused, you want to have someone that has a relational component to their temperament. If you marry somebody that's a pure task focus, it feels good because they get it done. They do all the stuff you don't like to do. But you're never going to have common ground in terms of your focus, because if you're relational, disc personalities, you need to have a little overlap there. If they're DC, get it done temperament, man, it's going to be a little challenging for you, because they're not going to have the emotional intimacy that you long for and crave for, and you'll find that you're not going to change them after they get married. So I say get to know the personality, and there's data we can give you on temperament compatibility. It's a 90% predictor of long-term affiliation, is whether or not you are designed by God and with personalities that actually work and flow together. Secondly is values. This is where it gets tough, because if you're unequally yoked and you've got a higher commitment to serving God, the purpose of God, and the call of God than the person you're with, then instead of being equally yoked, and I'm not talking about equally yoked like only marry a Christian, I'd say it's even harder than that. You marry a couch potato Christian and you're an on-fire Pentecostal Christian, what's going to happen when you meet someone that really matches what you want and they're on fire at church, and your spouse is still at home watching it, in their pajamas on Zoom? So values means you have to share the same priority of values. High spirituality, if it's high for you, you're better off meeting them in a good Pentecostal church, like Mercy Culture, probably like you go to. So it's temperament, but then make sure your values. This is the third one no one talks about, called polarity. Polarity is the part that all you kids liked, because it's never taught. Polarity has to do with sexual tension. What is sexual tension? That's sustained attraction over a long period of time. And here's the mystery of sexual attraction, that masculine energy is attractive to feminine energy. Feminine energy is like the wind. It's mercurial. That's why when I do my classes, I show women that have feminine energy are always angular. Even gay guys. You don't want to act gay. I just go act like a male, female. So feminine energy is like the wind. It moves. Masculine energy is like the ship that cleaves a path through the ocean, adjusting the sails, but going in one direction. Masculine energy is directional force. Feminine energy is accommodating, creative. Doesn't mean a woman can't be a leader. It just means that they lead with a combination of directional force and feminine strength. And in fact, I think women can actually be better leaders than men in some cases, because they demonstrate nurture more naturally. But that polarity subject was always the one where I got the highest views, because I would have to teach women on stop being masculine, because the more you're in the workplace, listen, ladies, the more you're in the workplace, the more you dress like a guy. You see these business suits. This is where like the bisexual movement got into vogue, back in the 80s and 90s, and you had Madonna and others coming out as bi. But it's when women would act masculine, but then still they attracted to other women. It's weird, because women, when they start acting masculine, they turn off the tension and the attraction with alpha males. Alpha males are attracted to to feminine energy. So that's why the cheerleader always went out with the jock on the football team. Makes sense? And what was harder to predict was the actor on the stage who was your favorite high school personality. Who was he dating? It was always up for grabs. But masculine energy and feminine energy are, as Hillary Clinton was had a husband who was affair prone. And why was Bill Clinton affair prone? Because if you look at Hillary, she's masculine energy. Pantsuits, dogmatic, dramatic, talking like that. Attractive lady when she was younger, but as she got older, that masculine energy, alien. And who do you see Bill with all the pictures, Jennifer Flowers, all the women that he was with? Feminine energy. See, he was attracted, alpha male, feminine energy. Hillary didn't have it. It's a warning. As women become more professional and get into a man's culture and start to adapt stronger characteristics of the corporate, get it done, take no prisoners woman. I used to coach these women from American Express and such when I was younger because they couldn't find confident men in New York City. They complained to me, Lance, where are all the men? Well, the problem was these were high-achieving, get-it-done, strong, masculine women in New York. They didn't know how to switch and flip and go into the feminine mode. Anyway, polarity means that if you're feminine, you have to. If you're a masculine female, learn to put on feminine mask because you'll attract the masculine attraction. All that I'm telling you is, if you don't have polarity, you're going to have a problem down the road with sexual attraction. If you don't have values, you're going to have a problem down the road with the same priorities. And if you don't have temperament right, you're going to have a problem almost immediately with what gets your attention and how you want to spend your time. And that's a lot of what a marriage is. Lot to give you, young lady, but that was the speech I gave by the pool to a dozen or 15 young people at one of my conferences.
I think it's great. I love it. I love learning from you about this stuff. I think people really need it. They need to hear it. They need to learn it. I don't think it's just relevant to single people, too. I think people who are already married can benefit from this kind of...
Oh, I guarantee it. Because what happens is men, as they get older, my perception is they move from task focus towards relationship. And just my theory on this is they move from having to get a job and make bills paid and provide for the family. Then they start looking at the grandchildren and the family and routine. And women, strangely enough, spend all their youth having to be the nurturer and the mom, helping the husband with his work. And when she gets older, she's interested in self-expression, achievement, and doing something. She's moving towards individuality and doing something at a time when he's moving towards, I've already done it, I'm looking for connection and routine and relationships. So they're moving in opposite directions at a certain time. And that creates that thing that you have, which is where, hey, Phyllis and Barry are getting divorced. What? How long were they married? Oh, 25 years. What? I can't believe it. They're getting a divorce. 30 years. Getting a divorce. Well, because they were going in that direction. The kids were the glue that held them together. We could talk a lot about this, people. We probably need a broadcast just on relationships.
Well, Lance, I think this kind of has become our special on relationships. Wouldn't you say?
What are you saying?
Well, just this whole conversation, it's fascinating. Like you give out, I mean, you and Annabelle have been married 41 years. You've got 3 kids.
Is it 41?
Yeah, last year was your 40th.
No, this year's our 40th.
I thought it was a year ago.
No, I was 40 years in ministry last year.
You've been married in eternity.
40
Very happy.
It seems like that, doesn't it?
You have 3 kids who are all happily married. You know, yeah. I think you've got this marriage thing figured out too. And so I think it's great. You know, I think people just need more advice and more help on like, how do we do it? How do we find our future spouse? How do we become the best versions of ourselves to do that? And then even you give great marriage advice, you know, like how to optimize your marriage. And I mean, I love how you were talking about the disc profile. We do have those available on your store. If anyone is interested in learning their profile, when Lance was talking about the DISC, you know, are you dominant, influential?
I did so many relationship seminars because I was intrigued when I pastored. This is where I got a lot of my HR background, pastoring. I would take a profile, for instance, if you have a dominant high D male, and a high S wife, which was so typical of the marriage attractions that I saw. High S's are nurturing, social, family-oriented, more steady personalities. D's are dominant, aggressive, tactical, get it done. And the D male frequently found the S female, and they both had this kind of magnetic attraction. Remember the alpha male and the masculine energy and the feminine energy are attracted. So I saw a lot of DS marriages in the baby boomer generation. I don't have data for what's happening now. But what happened is the D needed to understand the need of the high S for connection. And the high S woman needed to have an understanding of the D's need for, get this, admiration. Admiration for achievement. And when a man is failing at work or failing to provide, it affects his psyche a different way. Understand this is a large part of why crime happens so extensively in inner cities and such, because if a male doesn't have respect for his ability to achieve something and to be admired, he will achieve something and be respected for something, and it might not be a healthy outlet. It might be criminal. But the thing that I found in my work was that high dominant men and that have a need for achievement and respect, and high connection women, that if I didn't get them to see what each other's needs were, I couldn't get them to negotiate. What's the negotiation? Bringing a man and a woman up. We had one wild encounter with this in our last level 10 we did in Carlsbad, where I had randomly guests. I didn't know these people. I brought them up from the audience and had them come up and watch the emotional meltdown as the two of them, high dominant male, high S relational female, recalibrated their relationship so that he gave her what she needed that she wasn't getting. And she covenanted with him to give him what he needed. And then with tears flowing, we prayed over them as they came together in a healing moment. I'm not even sure if they were Christians. I picked them up out of the audience because they felt like the Lord told me to do it. I'm glad I did. But that moment would be worth you seeing. I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/profile. So go ahead, and I suggest two of you get the profile so that your husband does it and the wife does it. Now, if the spouse doesn't want to do it anyway, because you'll understand what your needs are. And I wonder how accurate these are if you fill them out for someone else. Like if I filled it out for Chelsea in our work relationship, it might be pretty accurate.
Well,
I mean, I wonder if a person can fill it out on their spouse and say he's this.
I wouldn't recommend that. I think if you're going to do it with your spouse, I would say have your spouse buy in, have them do it too. Don't give them the answers. I think it's really important, like out of self-reflection, to do it yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's important.
I agree. That's the right way to do it. But I'm saying if your husband's not going to take the time to do it because he doesn't care about the relationship the way you do, maybe you have to fill it out and go, well, this is what he would say. Just because, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe we'll just do you. We'll just do you. Then you show the results. And you say, honey, Lance says, if you really love me, you'll do the profile.
I just think it's a good handy tool. I think it's a good thing to know about yourself. I think it's helpful. I love hearing from you about all the relationship stuff. I don't think people know, like, you're so multifaceted in so many areas. Like, you can talk about relationships, business, the government mountain, you get into media.
It's the Epicurean profile. You guys ever do Enneagrams? The Enneagram has like these 9 different profiles. It was big. There was an Enneagram, season going through the church world. But just if any of you are watching this on social media, on YouTube or on Facebook or someplace, just in the chat thread, I read your chat, so let me know what you think. Go to lancewallnau.com/profile. I always wonder about relationships within the Enneagram. I believe that I'm a 7, so the Epicurean or the generalist is like, we dabble. The way a 7 is I'm into the business, I'm into the relationship, I'm into obviously all the stuff. But the challenge is to not dabble, but develop depth. But do you know what your Enneagram style is?
No, I don't do that one. There's so many. I think disc is great. I think that
Yeah, disc. Here's the beauty of disc. For everyone, well, I don't know, I've done that years ago. You haven't done it in depth. Because, the four-factor analysis actually is the closest to the Bible. Because with disc, when I started doing this, I had a lady get up in the middle of my teaching once, and she grabbed her Bible. It's the church lady from Saturday Night Live. She got up, took her pocketbook, and zipped it up, and she walked out. And I went down, and I asked her, I said, well, why are you leaving? She goes, I am not interested in psychobabble. I'm only interested in the Bible. So Jimmy Swaggart at that point was talking about Christians that were off into psychology, and he was preaching, against it. So I thought, well, Lord, I don't want to be involved with psychobabble. I was driving home very sincerely thinking, am I off? Am I getting myself into a deception? I thought these tools are really helpful for people. I was a young pastor at the time. And the Lord brought me in behind the veil, so to speak, and I found a Christian who taught disc. He taught it from a different perspective. He says the four faces of Jesus that are embroidered on the veil that separated the holy place from the Holy of Holies. The four faces of Jesus. You say, what's that, preacher? Well, it was the face of the cherubim, the face of a man, the face of an oxen, the face of a lion, and the face of an eagle. The face of a man, oxen, lion, and eagle. Now, that sounds kind of sacrilegious. You got a veil. The Bible says that the veil symbolized Jesus' flesh. Well, evidently, on earth, in his human form, he revealed the face of the lion, the oxen, the eagle, and man. The lion is the dominant D. The man is the influencing I. The S has to do with the oxen that's stable and steady and strong. And the C has to do with the conscientious, calculating precision and care of the eagle. No, DISC was actually is a tool that reveals the temperament of people, revealed perfectly by Jesus, the model of each temperament. So if I want to know the model of how a high dominant, a high influence, a high steady, high compliant, how those styles are perfected, I go to Jesus and see him demonstrating it. Fascinating study. We'll cover that when you get to lancewallnau.com/profile. And I'm interested in that speed dating idea for all those single Christians out there. I think there might be something to a conservative summit with speed dating. Let me know at freedom@lancewallnau.com if you think that's a good idea. All right, talk to you guys later. This broadcast has gone way off the rails. See you tomorrow.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world